upon a time, in the underwater kingdom of Atlantis lived a young mermaid named Ariel. There she lived with her father, King Trident, alongside with her mother and 6 older sisters. The kingdom was full of laughs, and joys until one day raiders came and took that away. It was a day of celebrating for the merfolks. Everyone came up to shore, playing in the water and singing their songs, until one of the princesses noticed a large pirate ship coming their way. Quick in action, the king alerted everyone to go beneath the surface and swim away. In a moment of panic, one of the girls got their fin stuck between 2 boulders, and being the queen, her duty was to protect her subjects. She swam up and managed to save the girl. However, there wasn't enough time for herself to get away. Sorrow came over the kingdom when the news of the queen's tragic death spread. The kingdom of Atlantis was in complete disbelief. For weeks there was no singing, dancing, or cheering. Just silence. Absolute silence. Out of all the merfolks, the king was the most devastated. He lost the love of his life, his queen, his wife. Now he had the only duty of raising 7 daughters on his own. Ever since that day, the king only had anger and resentment towards humans. His entire outlook changed. Soon he came to ban music and dancing. The kingdom was never the same as before.
Years have gone by since the incident occurred, and the king could not bear his loneliness any longer. He made a decision to take Ariel's hand in marriage once she turned of age at 15 years old. Out of all her sisters, Ariel was the youngest and prettiest. The king believes that she was the reincarnation of his wife. She had such a similar appearance to her mother that anyone would have mistaken them for each other. Still young and unwilling to marry her father, Ariel decides to run away. The next morning, as she was getting ready to leave, Sebastian, her father's apprentice, catches her trying to leave. He prevented her from leaving and began to scold her as he dragged her back to the chambers. Days have gone by, and Ariel still hasn't left her room. She hasn't eaten or spoken to anyone except for her best friend, Flounder. He tries to comfort her with his words, but Ariel does not have it. She feels conflicted and wrong for her father to think that he can marry her, his own daughter, despite the fact that she was only 15. Wanting to have some alone time, away from everything, she decides to swim up to the shore to watch people dance. Her father had outlawed visiting the surface world, but Ariel had too much stress. She wanted to experience something new that would lift up her spirits.
Sitting there admiring their dancing and happiness, Ariel spotted a handsome prince. From just that one glance she fell in love. Blinded by the idea of love at first sight, she ignored all of the rules her father has enforced. A completely naive Ariel seeks out the sea witch, Ursula, hoping to make her wishes come true, being with the prince. It was nightfall when she snuck out to go meet with Ursula. Traveling miles away from home, she finally made it to Ursula's cave, not knowing that both Sebastian and Flounder were following right behind her. Ariel cautiously swam into Ursula's cave, where she was then greeted. "What do you desire, child?" Ursula said. "I wanted to be with the prince," Ariel replied. Ursula then warned her that every wish comes at a price. Nothing comes free in the world. Ursula was telling her about what happened, but she blindly agreed to the circumstances.
For her feet, Ariel had to give up her voice and one other thing. Spotting Sebastian hidden behind one of the rocks, she called him out. "I will trade in my voice and Sebastian," Ariel said with revenge in her eyes. "Poor unfortunate soul. That will be done deal, my dear," Ursula responded with a beam of shadows hitting Ariel from the cauldron. Her tail split into 2 to become legs. Gasping for air, Ariel started to slowly drown. Luckily, Flounder got to her in time to bring her up to the surface. However, before she could leave, Ursula gave her a final warning. If she does not get a true love's kiss within 3 days by sunset, she would be stuck like this permanently. Finally, she was able to breathe. Flounder brought her to the sand where she rested for a bit. Admiring her new legs, Ariel took her first step. What she didn't know was that with each step it took, it would feel like burning hot coals.
Constantly stumbling with every step, she feels the burning red-hot coals scorching the bottom of her feet. But at last her painful journey was worth it. She suddenly found Prince Eric. As soon as they locked eyes, they were deeply in love. They spent the whole day together. As the day passes into the evening, he brings her to a beautiful lagoon. She almost forgets about the sharp stabbing pain in her feet. At the end of their walk, she wasn't able to feel her legs from enduring all the pain. Prince Eric sweeps her off her feet and brings her to the palace. Waking up on the second day, Ariel noticed another woman was with the prince. She tried her best to approach them, but her feet still felt the scorching pain with each step. Upon approaching them, she noticed something was off with the girl. Prince Eric introduced the two, and upon hearing the girl's voice for the first time, Ariel realized that Vanessa was actually Ursula. Throughout the whole day, Ariel was pushed aside by the prince, and the only person he paid attention to was Vanessa. The prince had completely forgotten about Ariel, but instead he fell in love with Vanessa. That night he got down on one knee and proposed to her.
Waking up the second day, Ariel noticed another woman with the prince. She tried her best to approach them, but her feet still felt a scorching pain with each step. Upon approaching them, she noticed something was off with the girl. Prince Eric introduced the two, and upon hearing the girl's voice for the first time, Ariel realized that Vanessa was actually Ursula. Throughout the whole day, Ariel was pushed aside by the prince, and the only person he paid attention to was Vanessa. The prince had completely forgotten about Ariel and instantly fell in love with Vanessa. That night, he got down on one knee and proposed to her. Ariel was physically and mentally hurt. She was heartbroken, and her legs were now as sore as ever, making it even harder to bear. But she knew she had to break Prince Eric away from Ursula's grip. She tried everything, pushing her off the balcony, but nothing worked. It finally came when Vanessa was walking down the aisle, and the end was of her love life. She couldn't watch the tragedy, but she knew it was over when the wedding bells rang and the sunset rose. Ariel was devastated when she was unable to stop the wedding on time. She could no longer go back to the sea because of her legs, and now she had lost her lover to a sea witch. Stuck with an ultimatum of living like this or finding a way to go back home, she made her choice. As a kid, her mother would always tell her folktales of breaking the curse of a sea witch. The way to undo the spell was to take the blood of a loved one and bathe in it. In a state of pure misery and regret, Ariel thought of the idea that if she couldn't have him, no one could.